Could WWE face an issue signing the Lucha Brothers? We'll talk about it. Plus, we have an update on an ex-WWE faction returning, and Sting teases his AEW return. It's all in the Cultaholic Wrestling News right now. Lots of conversation over the last few weeks about the Lucha Brothers and the next step in their career. Both Penta and Rey Fenix set to leave AEW, and there was a lot of conversation about them joining WWE, but there's potentially a slight snag in that plan.
Yeah, so this report from the Wrestling Observer states there's a concern now because AEW apparently has the right to extend Fenix's deal for another year due to his time off due to injuries. Because of all the talk of his going to WWE and when he's starting and such, Penta obviously recently did a tweet saying, enough of the gossip. Like, my current is in AEW. Like, just calm it all down a bit.
Yeah. So the fact that if AEW were inclined to do so, they could extend Rey Fenix's contract a little further, which would mean that we wouldn't necessarily see the Lucha Brothers at the same time in WWE.
Are they going to leave if they're not together?
Yeah.
Like, is there a chance that would happen? Is it one of those things where WWE would maybe be looking at more of a package deal? Well, you don't know, because obviously the internal discussions that are going on, potentially, if they're even happening, if Penta saying, it's just gossip. But it's one of those where you've got to think that should the chance present itself, WWE would be mad, absolutely mad not to sign them both. They're both incredibly popular, and I think they do like wonders for WWE as a product. Yeah,
they really would. There was rumor and innuendo about Penta heading to the Performance Center earlier this week, which is what prompted the message from Penta, as you said, to go, hey, look, my present is AEW. That was his wording. My present is AEW.
I just thought it was a Gold's Gym. I walked straight back out.
I ran out, just clutching WWE t-shirts under his arm. I definitely didn't stay there.
Just with his own face on it and everything, all of his merchandise.
So from one team potentially coming into WWE to another team potentially reuniting outside of WWE. What's going on here?
So we talked about Big Bobbington wanting to go and do some jiu-jitsu, some boxing, run a marathon yesterday. But last week, a trademark filing was made for the term the Hurt Syndicate to be used for wrestling and entertainment purposes by the Totally Harmless Concept LLC, which happens to be the same company which back in 2013 filed to trademark MVP. So this suggests that there are, as the rumor has been flowing for quite some time, MVP's been leaning quite heavily into it. There appear to be plans to indeed reunite, at least Bobby Lashley and MVP outside of WWE right now. It's those two. It could be, it could grow into a much bigger group. We've seen it be more than just two people before, but it's, it kind of goes hand in hand with both stars being moved to the alumni section yesterday, indicating that they're both done with the company. So
I would love to see them back together again on either on the indie circuit or for another major company.
I think they, without any sort of restrictions on what they're able to do and a little bit more creative freedom, everybody's of course going AEW, but Bobby Lashley's got a history in TNA. Does MVP might have worked with TNA before?
Oh hell yeah, the Beatdown Clan.
Of course, yeah.
The BDC.
I reckon it's one of those where there are a multitude of options for places they could land, but you've got to assume that again somebody like Tony would be looking at this, salivating, going, "This is a hell of a prospect. Let's get it going."
Yeah, very likely. Also, the option we talked about it yesterday, how Bobby looks to do like kickboxing, boxing as well, a few other combat sports.
MVP has a background in that too, though, doesn't he?
He does, and that's why I'm thinking you have an opportunity here to make a faction like the Hurt Syndicate like multi-platform, in the sense that they
Hurt Syndicate multiverse, if you will.
If you will. But you could have, like, if Bobby has a boxing match, you have MVP accompany him to the ring for the boxing match, and it's still representing the Hurt Syndicate. It's part and parcel.
And of course, MVP, the first ever, which it's now been retired and changed into something else, but the first ever IWGP Intercontinental Champion. So there are strong ties there for MVP in Japan, and again, I think they could work in nearly any company they chose to work in. It's one of those where, again, if you take away some of the more TV PG friendly restrictions restrictions WWE impose, I think they're going to turn into an absolute monster unit.
They really, really could. And we're going to keep an eye on those guys as well. Heading into a massive week for All Elite Wrestling, but sources close to the Wrestling Observer, and this is one probably worth taking maybe with a grain of salt.
Just a whole like grit bin full of salt.
Full of salt. Say that whilst the morale is generally good, recent reports around Britt Baker, MJF, and Alicia are being taken into account. There is a concern about show attendance and the company's popularity in general amongst the talent. Now, it's obvious why there'd be a concern around attendance and popularity, because there's no hiding it. We have seen numbers in AEW getting smaller year on year.
Yeah. We had exclusive deals apparently with some arenas and some prior agreed upon dates that couldn't be scaled back as well, which I believe Tony touched on before, where they were kind of waiting for some of these deals to expire so they could move into more favorably sized venues that would have a better atmosphere, I guess.
Yeah, and it would really benefit from having some of that take place. And you can see, unfortunately, you can see where the numbers have changed. According to WrestleTix, there were 45,000 tickets for All In being distributed for a current distribution setup that would hold 50,000. And that's not a dunk, because still getting up to 50,000 people is amazing.
It's incredible.
And the atmosphere is going to be unreal.
But I think that when people are looking and comparing the All-In numbers as well, the one thing that doesn't seem to be taken into account by quite a lot of people is the fact that we're quite a poor country at the minute. We don't have a lot of disposable income, and it was one of those things when AEW first announced Wembley last year. It was massive, right? Every fan was desperate to get down there. Everybody went that could get there. Everybody who could get their hands on a ticket attended. But London is an incredibly expensive city. Like, you're talking, if you get a train down from here, it's like 150 quid. Like for a return, and then you got what, 2 nights in a hotel. It's sort of, I think for a lot of people, they've done it once, and it's something that I kind of think happens a lot in this country, is you do something once and then maybe we'll do it again, but again, depending on current factors and what's going on with the economy and everything, I think that might be playing a little bit of a factor too.
It could, but then
generally numbers are.
But yeah, I'll say if that trend wasn't replicated across the overseas, I would agree with you, because also according to WrestleTix, AEW Grand Slam, which is emanating from Arthur Ashe Stadium, is reportedly capped for a 5,000 seat setup, the same venue that sold over 20,000 the first time AEW were there. Now, it's currently capped at that, so that can change. That's not the end number. What
we have seen them sort of extend, so they'll sell one set of tickets first, and then they'll start opening up other blocks and stuff. But so it could just be that they want to sell one area out completely first before opening up more. But it is quite worrying to see that, it is completely, it's like a fifth of what it was.
Yeah, it's slightly so. Yeah. But we did see as well with some shows, you do see a rush last minute for tickets. Yeah. Whether that changes things, I don't know. But there's certainly numbers that state that, there is reason to be concerned about attendance. Now, this week, AEW announced All in Texas for next July, which according to sources close to the Observer, there are plans for 35,000 in that venue. And a lot of it depends on, obviously, economy comes into it, but also product comes into it as well. Yeah. And it's got to be a product that people are willing to pack out the stadium for. And wrestling's always better when places are packed out, whichever brand so as well. You love.
I think that as well, maybe AEW need to start exploring some other markets. It does feel like we tend to hit similar places over and over again. They've had some good success in Texas, so if they're able to capitalize on that, they're able to build on it, then I think they're going to be able to do it, but it's going to be a long build to get there. And I think there's going to be a lot of discussion in the fallout of this year's Wembley show that maybe, things have tapered off a little bit.
Well, interesting you say that, because following the announcement of All in Texas, Tony Khan was a guest on the Dan Le Batard show, and he talked about AEW's future plans in the UK, and he said, we love having AEW at Wembley Stadium. We will be back in England in 2026. You can bet you'll see us there in 2025 as well. It won't be All In, it'll be something different, but we have some big plans coming up next year as well. That could be where they explore other
Bash
places.
At Blythe Beach. Just do it up here. Do it up here so we don't have to travel.
Bash
please.
At Blythe Beach.
Please.
That would be a thing.
Just do St. James's. It's like 50 odd thousand. You'd be all right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Pack that out. It'd be fine. All in Texas was the big announcement for this week. And one particular name seems to have thrown their name in the hat to potentially be a part of it, Sam.
Yeah, so the announcement was retweeted, or quote retweeted by one certain Stanger. And he said, just down the road, I'll be watching from somewhere. Sting obviously retired from wrestling at AEW Revolution earlier this year, ending his career as one half of the AEW World Tag Champs with Darby Allin. You got to think he's going to be up on a catwalk somewhere. Or if it just pans across the crowd and he's just sat without his makeup on and his Oakleys, it's going to be really... Like when he came out for the Hall of Fame and he was like, all right. And I was like, that's bizarre. When he did the little wave on the stage in Arlington, it was like, what is going on?
Yeah, he sat there and you go, what? I said I'd be there somewhere. What did you read into that way too much?
I'm in the friends and family section.
Yeah, I'm just buying a burger now. I think that's a shrewd move.
Unless he transitions his soul into the body of his son who's training to wrestle, and then Sting lives forever.
Oh, man. So he's like a doctor who just keeps regenerating.
Yeah.
I'd be down for that. That would be a lovely day. It's nice to be here on a Saturday, so I don't normally get a chance to plug this. Brand new episode of the Cultaholic Classic SmackDown review. Myself and Matthew Gregg watching Vengeance 2002.
Oh, nice. You're in a good era.
Rock, Angle, Undertaker, man.
You're in a good era.
We're getting there. We're getting there. And what else is on the channel this
We've
week?
got plenty coming out. If you just there's lots of stuff all scheduled up. If you just keep your eyes peeled. We may be back later on if any more drastic news breaks. But if not, we will catch you all next week.
And for the latest wrestling news at any time, you can check out cultaholic.com. Stay safe. Love you. Bye.